Uloaku had everything: beauty, wealth, and a loving family. But one forbidden love turned her world upside down. Against her father's warning, she married a man with secrets darker than night. What she discovered in his home would change her life forever. Will Uloaku escape, or is it already too late? Watch till the end to uncover the chilling truths. It was a sunny afternoon in Ogolo, a bustling town surrounded by hills and rivers. Uloaku, the only daughter of Chief Obi, walked out of her father's large compound. Her family was well known in the community for their wealth and generosity, and her father was respected by everyone. Uloaku was a bright and beautiful girl. Her parents had raised her to be respectful and obedient, but she had always been a bit stubborn. Her father often warned her about making rash decisions, especially when it came to love. Marriage is not a game, my daughter, Chief Obi would say. It's a journey. Choose wisely. Uloaku nodded each time her father spoke, but deep down she felt she didn't need his advice. She was 22 years old and believed she could make her own decisions. One day, while shopping at the town market, Uloaku met Obinna, a tall and handsome man. He had smooth skin, a bright smile, and an air of confidence that made her heart race. He owned a big electronics shop in the next town and was known for his wealth. They talked for a while, and Uloaku felt an instant connection. Obinna was kind, funny, and seemed to care about her deeply. Days turned into weeks, and soon, Uloaku and Obinna became inseparable. Obinna showered her with expensive gifts and whispered sweet words that made her feel special. When he asked her to marry him, she didn't hesitate to say yes. But her parents were not pleased. When Uloaku told them about Obinna, Chief Obi frowned deeply. "No," he said firmly, "you cannot marry him." "Why, Papa?" Uloaku asked, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't trust that boy," her father said. "There is something strange about his family. People in the neighboring town whisper about them. They say they are involved in dark things." "Dark things? What does that mean?" Uloaku asked, her voice shaking. Her father's face softened. "My daughter, I cannot explain it all now, but you must trust me. Stay away from that family." Uloaku didn't know what to believe. Obinna had always been kind to her. How could her father think such terrible things about him? That night, she cried in her room, torn between her love for Obinna and her loyalty to her parents. The next morning, Obinna came to visit Uloaku at her home. He looked her father in the eye and promised to love and care for her. Chief Obi shook his head. "Love is not enough," he said. "I cannot bless this marriage." Uloaku couldn't bear the thought of losing Obinna. Against her parents' wishes, she decided to marry him in secret. They traveled to a nearby village and had a small wedding. Uloaku felt a mix of excitement and guilt, but she told herself everything would be fine. When she moved into Obinna's family home, Uloaku was amazed by its size and beauty. The house was a large white mansion surrounded by tall trees. The air smelled of fresh flowers and birds chirped in the garden, but something felt off. The house was too quiet and the servants avoided looking her in the eye. At first, life with Obinna was blissful. He treated her like a queen, and she felt like the luckiest woman alive. But strange things started happening. One night, she woke up to find Obinna standing by the window, whispering to himself. His voice was low and harsh, like he was arguing with someone. When she asked him what he was doing, he smiled and said, "Just thinking, my love. Go back to sleep." Another night, she heard voices coming from the living room. She tiptoed down the stairs and peeked through the door. Obinna was sitting with his family around a large table, and there was chanting in languages she didn't understand. A cold chill ran down her spine, and she quickly went back to her room. Uloaku started noticing other strange things. The family never ate dinner together, and there were rooms in the house she was not allowed to enter. Obinna became more secretive, and his mood would change suddenly. One moment, he was sweet and caring. The next, he was distant and cold. One evening, while cleaning the house, Uloaku found a hidden door behind a large curtain in the hallway. She opened it and saw a narrow staircase leading down to the dark basement. Her heart pounded as she descended the stairs. At the bottom, she found a room filled with strange objects, face masks, candles, and a large wooden table with dried bloodstain. She also saw pictures of people, including one of herself. Uloaku gasped and stumbled back. She ran upstairs, her mind racing. She had heard stories about families involved in occult practices, but she never imagined she would be living among them. Fear gripped her heart. Was she safe? What did they plan to do with her? That night, she confronted Obinna. "What is going on in this house?" she demanded. "What are you and your family hiding?" Obinna's face darkened. "You shouldn't have gone into that room," he said quietly. "Tell me the truth," Uloaku shouted, tears streaming down her face. "What are you doing to me?" Obinna sighed and sat down. "Uloaku, you are my wife. Everything I do is to protect us. My family has traditions. They are not evil, just misunderstood." "Misunderstood?" Uloaku repeated, her voice shaking. "There is blood in that room. Pictures of me. What are you planning?" Obinna stood and walked towards her. His eyes were cold and his smile was gone. "You are part of this family now, Uloaku. You must accept our ways. There is no escape." Uloaku's heart sank. She realized she had made a terrible mistake. The man she loved was not who she thought he was, and now she is trapped in the nightmare. In the days that followed, Uloaku's life became a walking nightmare. She felt like a prisoner in her own home. Obinna's family monitored her every move, and she was never left alone for long. At night, she heard strange chants and footsteps echoing through the house. She tried to call her parents, but her phone mysteriously stopped working. One night, when the house was eerily quiet, Uloaku decided to escape. She packed a small bag and waited until everyone was asleep. As she crept towards the front door, she heard a voice behind her. "Going somewhere, my dear wife?" She turned to see Obinna standing at the top of the stairs, his eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. "You cannot leave," he said, his voice calm. "You are part of this family now, and you have a role to play." "What role?" Uloaku shouted, her voice trembling with fear. "What do you want from me?" Obinna walked towards her slowly. "You are the key to our wealth," he said. "Every new wife in our family becomes part of the covenant. Your life ensures our prosperity." Uloaku's knees buckled and she fell to the floor. "You lied to me," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You never loved me." Obinna knelt beside her and wiped her tears with his hand. "I did love you," he said, "but love is not enough. Family comes first." Uloaku's mind raced. She realized she couldn't escape on her own. She needed help, but who could she trust? Her parents had warned her about this, and now she regretted not listening to them. The next morning, Uloaku pretended to accept her fate. She smiled and acted like everything was fine, even though her heart was heavy with fear. She began to study the family's routines, looking for weaknesses. She noticed that the family had their rituals every Friday night in the basement. That was her chance. On Friday evening, while the family gathered in the basement, Uloaku quietly slipped out of the house. She ran through the dark forest behind the mansion, her feet pounding against the earth. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she had to get away. After what felt like hours, she stumbled into a small village, exhausted and terrified. She knocked on the first door she saw. An elderly woman opened it and gasped when she saw Uloaku. "Come in, my child," the woman said, pulling her inside. Uloaku explained everything and the woman nodded solemnly. "You are lucky to have escaped," she said. "That family has ruined many lives." The woman offered to take Uloaku to her parents' home. They traveled for hours, and when Uloaku finally saw her family compound, she burst into tears. Her parents ran to her, embracing her tightly. "I'm so sorry, Papa," Uloaku sobbed. "You were right. I should have listened to you." Chifobi held her close. "You are home now, my daughter. That is all that matters." The family immediately sought help from a spiritual leader in the village. He performed prayers and rituals to break any spiritual ties Uloaku might have had with Obinna's family. He also warned them to stay vigilant as the family might try to bring her back. Days turned into weeks and Uloaku began to heal. She shared her story to the villagers, warning young women about the dangers of disobedience and ignoring red flags in relationships. Her experience became a powerful lesson for others, and many parents used her story to teach their children the importance of listening to elders. One day, Uloaku received news that Obinna's family had lost everything. Their mansion had mysteriously burned down, and their wealth vanished overnight. Uloaku realized that their power had depended on her, and once she escaped, their grip on wealth was broken. As she stood by the river near her home, Uloaku reflected on her journey. She had learned a painful but valuable lesson. Love without wisdom can lead to destruction, and the warnings of elders should never be ignored. The story teaches that disobedience to wise counsel can lead to unforeseen suffering. Not all that glitters is gold, and love should be based on trust, transparency, and discernment. Listening to the advice of parents and elders who often see dangers we cannot can save us from making life-altering mistakes. True love does not involve deceit or harm, and the wisdom of those who care for us is a shield against the unknown. Thanks for watching. Sharing is caring. Go ahead and share, like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell. See you in my next video. Bye!